This is Back to Back.
Yo, what's up, back-to-backers? This is Willy Joy. Happy New Year. Welcome to 2018. Welcome back to the show. This is the first back-to-back of 2018. Wasting no time, we're going to keep it rolling this year. And my guest today is Jayceeoh, legend in the game. You know, just one of those tireless, always working kind of guys. Last year, he formed the duo 1000 Volts with hip-hop legend Redman. Their most recent single was Monster. That's a collaboration with Datsik. And they're working on music right now with Zed's Dead and a bunch more. We talk about this in the conversation. They're putting together a pretty serious project right now. Jayceeoh's last solo release is called Everywhere I Go, and it's out on Spinnin' Records right now. I'm going to put all the links to that in the description of this show. And you might also know Jayceeoh from the Super 7 Mix series that he puts together, also the Super 7 label that he runs. Some really amazing mixes. You know, he kind of gets the best of the best DJs to contribute little sections, and they always end up being a really good listen. So be on the lookout for all of that. Before we get into it, though, how was your New Year's? You guys have fun? For me, this was the first New Year's in a long time where I didn't have a show. I had it off, and honestly, I didn't know what to do with myself. It ended up being pretty fun. I hung out with a future guest on the show. I don't want to say who because I don't want to ruin the surprise, but if you follow me on Instagram, you probably saw it in my stories. Really fun night, nothing too crazy. And, you know, that's what New Year's should be. I think anytime you try to plan it out too much, you get crazy ideas in your head that it's going to be the best night of the year. It always ends up sucking. So, you know, whatever you guys did, I hope it was awesome. I hope you had a great time. I hope you're with people you love. And hey, we're in 2018. New year, same old back-to-back. But I am so ready to hop into this next year. The show is going to be a constant for you guys every single week. Brand new episodes. Got so many people lined up already. Got some big ideas for what comes next. You know, as the year goes on, if all goes according to plan, you're going to start seeing the show tying into the rest of my career in different ways. I've got so much new music coming for you guys. So much new content for back-to-back. A lot of other fun stuff, some collaborations. It's all in the works. I'm feeling good. To make sure you don't miss out on any of that new content, make sure to subscribe to this show on whatever platform you're listening to. Make sure to leave us a review and a rating. That helps a lot, helps us grow the show, helps us get better guests for you guys. And, you know, it just makes me happy, you know? Why not do something nice for your buddy Willy in the new year? That's all I'm saying. And you can always reach out to me at Willy Joy or at backtobackpod on all social media, or you can just email me, backtobackpod@gmail.com is the address. Let's talk, man. 2018, what are we doing? Let me know. So, for this episode with Jayceeoh, we met up at my place to record this. I caught him just as he was about to go on a boat party. You know, he's a busy guy, always running around, traveling constantly, working constantly. And throughout this conversation, you really get that sense of his drive and his persistence. And more than anything else, that's what I took away from this conversation. That's what I found the most inspiring, was just how hard this guy works and for how many years he's been able to keep up that level of effort and persistence. I think his story really shows the value of hard work, and that if you just focus on a goal and work hard enough at it, you really can do whatever you're trying to do. That being said, Jayceeoh, obviously extremely talented dude. He comes from the turntablist world, the hip-hop world, exceptionally talented technical turntablist. You know, seeing him at a live show is always an experience. And we kind of covered everything here. We talked about, you know, his transition into dance music. We talked about the reality TV show that he was on and he won. big prize on there. That's a crazy experience. I've always liked Jayceeoh. It's always a treat when we get to run into each other. I couldn't think of a better way to kick off 2018. So let's get into it right now. This is me and Jayceeoh back to back. Let's go. You're like right before an Asia tour? Right
Yeah,
now?
man.
What's up with that? Where are you headed?
About to head out to Asia for about 2 weeks. I'm going to be where am I going? Shanghai, Taipei, Thailand, Hong Kong, Shenzhen, and Wuhan.
Have you been to a lot of those places before?
I've been to Thailand. I've been to Shanghai, Hong Kong, but
You go to Asia a fair amount, yeah?
a little bit. This is probably like my third or fourth tour out there.
Yeah.
I just got back from India.
What was India like?
India was nuts, man. That was like one of the biggest like kind of culture shocks that I've experienced.
It's kind of overwhelming, right?
It is. It's just like, I've been to like all over Asia and seen some really crazy environments, but I think it's maybe because I'm used to seeing like the Asian side of third world poverty.
Yeah.
Just seeing it like the Indian side is just like, it's a different people. And the fact they all kind of speak English and have like an English accent. Like, I was really like surprised with how pleasant people were.
Yeah.
I think it's just because like they all have like an English accent. So
They
it's like
just sound pleasant.
They just sound pleasant, you know? It's just like I don't think they have like American sarcasm vocal tones.
Right. Oh, that's interesting.
But like, it was just really cool, man.
How were the shows out in India?
The shows were cool. Like, it was my first time. I played at this club called Kitty Sue. It's like one of the more high-end, well-known clubs out there.
Yeah.
They were all pretty good crowds. Kids were really hyped, but like what blew me away is, kids are holding up their phones with like song names of like old-ass songs of mine that like, I don't even play anymore.
Wow.
And I'm just like, how the hell do you even know this? And like kids are like, oh man, I've been following you for years. And I'm like, it's just crazy to be that far from
Yeah.
from
and
where you're from. And people know
India
your
is
shit.
definitely an emerging market for what we do right now. I mean, a lot of people are starting to play shows over there. It seems like there's a real like niche for it,
It is, and I can feel it there. Like the kids who are like into it are like really into it. They know that they're on the cutting edge of it. So it's like obviously when the bigger, more mainstream acts go there, but for like guys like me that like everyone may not know, but like if you are in the know, you're like
You're right.
like hype about it. So
because some people know you from the turntablist days too, right? Because you have kind of this crossover thing where you came from the hip hop world and the turntablist world, and now you've moved into dance music,
right?
And Asia, I feel like Asia loves turntablism.
They do, but it's also like depends on the crowd.
Yeah,
because like honestly, I get that on some of my Asia dates. I'll go there and it'll be like a more EDM centric crowd and they'll like have no idea. But other places I'll go and then I'll have fans like, oh man, like are you on Technique 1200 today? Like they're all hype about it. I'm like, all right, I guess I gotta flex a little more skill on this one.
Right.
So
yeah. Well, I mean, how do you balance out the turntablist side, the performance of it, the technical skill with a dance music crowd? Because I feel like a lot of different turntablists or people with hip hop backgrounds, they split it in different ways.
Yeah.
Some people showcase the technical side more than others.
Yeah.
How do you approach that?
I mean, over the years, I think I've really like figured out the sweet spot for like flexing skill without having to be overkill.
Yeah.
Not that many DJs in our lane in electronic music do scratching and like extra like, turntablist type skill within their sets. There's a few guys.
Yeah, it's getting more and more rare.
But like when I do it within my set, I always like to make sure it's like within the groove of the music. Like rarely am I like, stop the music, look at me scratch.
Right.
Because like you're going to lose 80% of the crowd of these kids who barely know what it is.
Yeah.
So when I do it, I'm like, all right, how do I do it within the groove of this song where if you see what's going on, you're like, holy shit, like he's fucking doing that live. But to the crowd who's completely oblivious to it, they just think it's like a layer of the song and they're like, oh shit, that's dope. You know?
I like that. Multiple levels, man.
Yeah.
Because then, it's everyone can appreciate it, but then the people who know, there's kind of that added bonus.
Because when I do scratching on songs or like on build-ups, like sometimes it's more rhythmic, and other times it's like the scratch is the lead of
Right.
whatever is going over the song, whether it's a vocal or something like that, or a big harsh sound, or is it just kind of like a pattern
Yeah.
that's kind of like could be any sound?
Yeah, that's smart, man. I think that's a good way to do it. You know, just had a conversation with a young producer and a few of his roommates about scratching, and we were talking about, DJs who still do that. And these kids turntables weren't a thing when they
Right.
came up. Like, they don't even, I don't think Techniques was even making turntables when they were kind of coming up.
Right.
You know what I mean? And for them, they were like, yeah, I don't understand. They're like, I guess it's cool, but why would it just
Why would
takes
you do
away?
that? Yeah,
right,
yeah.
right. And hearing them say that, like, it kind of crystallized in my head. I was like, yeah, we are in like a different time now.
Yeah, like, because I used to be on the other side of the fence before I was like full, like, focusing on being a producer and artist, where I was like kind of anti-electronic and just like scratching is the shit. Like,
Right.
if you can't scratch, you're not a DJ. And like, I was just on that purist DJ shit for a long time until I started entering this other world where I, really had to step back and be humble and be like, all right, it's a different ballgame here.
Yeah.
Even though I'm fucking super OG on some turntablist hip hop shit and like could flex on like a lot of different areas, I've, made sure I humbled myself and like, all right, this is a different arena. I gotta play by these rules, so to say.
Yeah.
But still, I still flex hard as fuck every time I play. Like
100%.
when you see me DJ, like, all right, this guy's a fucking,
Yeah,
this guy
100%,
really
man.
throws down.
I think, restraint is part of the art of it too,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
being tasteful with it. And yeah, you definitely flex it.
Yeah, like I went. They have this thing called Camp Spinoff. It's like a DJ camp where it's up in Ojai and a bunch
It's
of
like
different.
high level camp, right?
Not really.
Oh,
No, it's
okay.
like young kids.
Oh, okay.
Like,
I was
just
getting
like,
confused then,
Like
yeah.
summer camp. Like
Got
literally,
you.
like
I
instead of going to
got you.
like basketball camp, it's like DJ camp.
Oh, dope.
I was up there this year. It was like me and Z Trip and like Little John was up there. It's a really cool thing. But I did a whole kind of like seminar and it's just called like flexing skill without overkill was like
Oh, that's
the
dope.
name of it. So I kind of like base my whole like DJ presence is like when you see what's going on, you're like, wow, this is really happening live. Like he's fucking throwing down. And if you're not paying attention to it, you're just like, wow, this is sonically fucking amazing right
Yeah.
now. So
are the kids who go to that camp just like regular kids, or how do they?
Well, it really ranges from just like random kids that like their parents were like, "You're going here,"
Right.
to like some kids who are like came up and like really wanted to do it. It was a really wide range of kids, ranging from probably like 12 to 18.
That's dope, man.
Yeah.
Did they do? And they do that every summer?
Yeah, camp spinoff.
I gotta look at
My
that up.
homegirl DJ Tina T started it. I don't know how many years ago, but it's literally right near my parents' house.
Oh, sick.
And it's like super nice in Ojai, and I usually pop through once a year and just like surprise the kids, and like I'll do like a little seminar kind of showcase thing, and then we'll have like a campfire and all the kids like eat s'mores and ask questions. It's
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
dope. Yeah,
That sounds great.
yeah.
Well, let's take it back a little bit to, kind of how you started with scratching and with turntables in general. Where were you born?
I was born in LA, but I moved around a lot as a kid. So I was born in LA, then I moved to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania
Yeah,
in
yeah.
8th grade.
Shout out to Pittsburgh,
Yeah,
man.
and I ended up going to Taylor Alderdice High School, which is kind of the epicenter of Taylor Gang, Wiz Khalifa.
Right.
Mac Miller was like a family friend. Like he used to come
Oh, wow.
to my house for Passover when he was 5 years old and shit.
Wow, that's crazy.
And like I was pissed. I was living in LA and my parents were like, "We're moving to Pittsburgh." I'm like, "Fuck right!" Like I'm fucking staying here. I'm moving in with my best friend. Like fuck that
Yeah,
shit.
of course.
But obviously my dad's like, "Yeah, right. Get
Yeah.
your ass in the car."
That's tough, though. I mean, in middle school,
Yeah.
that's like right when you're making all
Yeah.
those bonds and
And
friendships.
making new friends going into a new school
Yeah.
at that age is like. But it was tight because like it was easier because like I was going from LA to Pittsburgh, so all these like Pittsburgh kids are like, "Wow, you're from LA." Like,
Yeah, yeah.
so I kind of had a little bit of like swag on early on. So kids were like wanted to be cool with me, But that was actually the year that I started DJing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 8th grade when I moved to Pittsburgh. I actually had it's pretty funny. My best friend was this kid who was a few years older, corrupted me in almost every way possible. My brother was also a few years older than me, so like I always had like that edge of like knowing what was up with like the older kids.
Yeah.
But like my best friend, when we were in I was in middle school, he was early high school. He stole his dad's credit card, right? And he went on this spree of a few months where he would pull mad money out. Be like, you want to go eat? I'll be like, nah, man, I can't afford it. He's like, I got you. I'm like, all right, cool. He's like, you want to go shopping downtown? I'm like, nah, man, I can. He's like, I'll buy you like 3 outfits. I'm like, all right,
Damn.
cool. So like we were like wild.
And his dad just never knew?
Oh, he found out. But like we had a nice spree of like, you know, he's probably jacked like $10,000 worth of shit.
Wow.
Yeah. But he was buying, in that time, he bought some turntables and records and stuff. And this was a time where like Def Comedy Jam was like a big thing.
Yeah.
And like I remember like seeing Kid Capri like DJing, hosting that. And like we also came up on like old like battle DJ videos, like Executioners versus Beat Junkies.
And were you listening to a lot of hip hop at the time?
Yeah, like I was super into like, you know, Tribe Called Quest, De La, you know, like early Busta Rhymes, just like that whole kind of like New York East Coast hip hop vibe, like cross color fucking beanies and shit. Like, just the most like ignorant clothes of all time. But that's like when I saw like those guys scratching and controlling a crowd, I was like, man, I gotta learn that. So basically, he had turntables, and every day after school, I'd go there, and we just try and scratch. You know, just like we gotta do this. You know.
Did you get good at it pretty fast, or did it take a while?
Well, I mean, I taught myself. Like, this is before there was like YouTube tutorials for every single thing you want to learn in life. Like, I remember Qbert put out like a how-to kind of video with kind of basics, but like really one of the biggest things it taught me was just like listening to other things. Like, I remember Funkmaster Flex 60 Minutes of Funk mixtape volume 1 is like quintessential mixtape for me. I
forgot about that mixtape.
The shit is hard. Like, he just had like, he was hosting it. He had all these different cuts and juggles, like not super technical, but just like flavor and basics. So like for a beginner, it's like things I could kind of teach myself. Yeah. So once I got to the point, I was like, oh, I can do all the Funk Flex cuts. Like, I'm good.
Yeah,
and you come to realize like his shit's mad basic. Now, right. But like the energy and flavor behind it is what like drew me into wanting to be a hip hop and scratch DJ and all that stuff. Yeah.
Well, I can imagine Pittsburgh at the time must have been kind of a cool incubator too. I never lived there, but I have some friends there, like Buku is from there, and he still lives there. Yeah. And he's still like, he's a big supporter of it. And when I went on tour with him, he'd always talk about how like the size of it, you know, it's not that big, but the community kind of became really strong because of it. So everybody kind of knew each other. You said Mac Miller would come to your house.
Yeah. I mean, like, he was literally 5 years old. Like, like he's like a fucking infant. I remember being in like high school and like after a meal, I'm like upstairs trying to fuck around with the turntable, and he's like trying to come up and chill. We're like, yo, little dude, like, go down with your parents. Come to find out, you know, he is who he is now. So, right. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, he probably wasn't such a good rapper at 5 years old.
Nah, he wasn't. Yeah.
So how did it evolve? Did you guys start performing or doing like little house parties?
Yeah, like in high school, I was pretty much just like mainly in the bedroom, just practicing, a couple house parties with the homies, couple like little quasi DJ battles.
Were you taking it pretty seriously already?
Yeah, I mean, it was like
spending a lot of time.
Like I basically, because I grew up like before I started DJing, I was like into all aspects of like, you know, quote unquote hip hop, the 4 elements. I was like doing graffiti, fucking, you know, freestyle with my homies. I was also skateboarding heavily. Okay. But once I got my own set of decks, I was just like, after school, I was like, I'm going home to practice.
That's when it got serious.
Like, I was like, nothing inspires me more than this.
Yeah.
It was my number one focus.
So you're playing some house parties. Yeah. Did you think that like music could be a thing you do later in life, or was it just kind of a party vibe at that time? It was
just kind of like a hobby. Like I remember going, because after high school, I went to college in Boston. I started at Northeastern University. Okay. I was going for like sociology and like marketing or some shit. Just really, really ambiguous kind of major. Yeah. And then I like got to a point I was like, all this stuff sucks. Like nothing inspires me more than music. And Emerson College was also in Boston, was like one of the top, well, actually the top like Princeton Review rated college radio station. I was like, dude, I gotta get on that shit. Like so I tried to transfer. I transferred right away to Emerson and ended up getting right in. And like the hip hop show was the hardest show.
Oh, really?
To get on, because like there's only 5 nights a week, and literally every kid is like, I want to be on the hip hop
Yeah.
show. Because the station was like as strong as the biggest commercial station. It
I
was
remember
like
that, yeah.
equivalent to Power 106 in LA, like that many listeners. It was huge.
I went to college in Rhode Island, but I had a bunch of friends who went to BU.
Did you go to URI?
I was at Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
A little better than URI.
A little bit, yeah. Shout out to URI, though.
I actually got in there. Yeah. I'm glad I didn't go there.
Yeah, I don't think anyone had a good time. I shouldn't say that. Shout out. If you're at URI right now, I still love you.
Yeah.
But no, I would go to BU because all my friends were there like every weekend.
Yeah.
And so I would listen to that station like all the time driving into the city.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a big
dope.
deal.
So I got on right away because like I came in like all these kids are like, I want to do hip hop and radio. I was coming in with like full mixtape, scratch intro, like demo tape.
Yeah.
Got in right away. All the kids who have been there for years were like hating on me. And it was just like, it was pretty funny, but I got right on. And then by senior year, I was like the music director. So,
Oh, wow.
for the hip hop show.
Yeah.
So like all the vinyl promo, records would come in through me. When Wu-Tang comes to town, they want to do interviews. Like I was the guy who coordinated it.
That's
like,
crazy,
I remember
man.
like I'd have like Capadonna like doing freestyles at my house. Like I'm getting them weed. I'm setting up the interview. Like all the hip hop legends like
Wow.
would come through, and I was in a really good position in the city. So like all the major hip hop shows that would come through Boston, not only would I promote it on the radio, but I'd be like the house DJ at the show.
Okay.
And like
So that's when you started DJing for rappers? Had you done that at all before?
Yeah, I mean, slightly, but that's when it was like I was doing like big shows and like, playing official like things for well-known artists. Before it was just like me and my homies.
Yeah.
But like, once I got on the radio in Boston, that's what really kind of catapulted my career in the hip hop realm.
Yeah. I mean, once you start making those connections, man, I think that's the most valuable thing you can get out of a college experience as a musician is those kind of connections and the I hate using the word networking, but like
I mean that's what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is, man. Once you get in with that, do you remember any of those early rappers you kind of connected with? I would have been intimidated, those
Yeah, I
first
mean
couple
I
times.
was too, but it was just like once you're in the room, from like Cormega to AZ to DMX to the whole Wu-Tang Clan to De La Soul and MOP, and just like they're all coming in like every week. So I got kind of seasoned to like, all right, this is how I'm dealing with rappers.
You have any really troublesome ones? Any disaster stories?
I mean, I've had various disasters, but I got a funny kind of tangent story.
Yeah.
The first artist that I toured Europe with was Ed OG, who's like one of the Boston OGs. Like I gotta have it. Like Diddy, Mary J. Blige, all these people sampled it.
Right.
Like the top '90s rapper, like the quintessential Boston rapper. We went on tour. It was like him, Big Suge from Gangstar, Slain. We had a group called Special Teams. It was like Jayceeoh, Slain, LOG, and myself. We put it out on Duck Down Records.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And we did this tour. We were in Germany. We were checking out of a hotel, and they had this like breakfast brunch, like kind of thing. But it was like, it wasn't free. You had to pay like 12 euros or some shit like that. I come downstairs. I'm just like, whatever, like 12 euros. Like I'm getting it in. Like I grub hard. So like,
Yeah.
I always get my money's worth at a buffet, but this one dude who was with Big Suge, he just came down and like didn't talk to the guy. He just got like a croissant and like a coffee, and he was like, "Yo, all right, man." He's like, "I'm out," and he was like, trying to charge him full price, and he was like, "Nah." And then they started like beefing, like it's like this German kitchen dude and this like hood dude from Boston. And it was just like a screaming match, and like he wouldn't pay him, and then he like as he was walking out there talking shit, and like the dude we were with said some shit like, blah, 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 like, fuck your mother or some shit. Just like normal shit talk. So he like said the shit, then we walk outside, right? And then I go to get like in the Sprinter van. I look back, this fucking crazy German dude comes, like you just see the door, the sliding door is open. This crazy dude comes running out with a fucking like 14-inch like kitchen knife.
Oh, shit.
Like just like, yo, what the fuck? And then fucking everyone's like, oh shit. And we like got out and like kind of like surrounded him.
Yeah.
Just like, yo, what the fuck did happen? And then Big Shook, who's like literally the biggest dude in the world. He's like, he'll destroy your whole face if he just flicks you. But he like took out his jacket like
a matador.
Yeah, like a matador. He's like, come on.
Oh my god.
And then but we're like in Germany, and it's like obviously like Nazi Germany is not a thing, but we're like black dudes, Jewish dude, fucking up at like some German guy. Like I'm like, this is not a good scene. Like we don't want police to come here. So like the dude's manager ends up coming out and grabbing him, and taking it back in. We're like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
That was pretty wild. On the same
That's
trip,
insane.
on the flight out, like we're all on the flight and like all of us are spread out on this thing. I'm kind of in the back. This dude, like kind of hippie ass dude, comes on, and initially he was just like mad creepy. And this dude must have taken like DMT or some crazy drug, but he was walking the aisles. This is like a 10-hour flight, 12-hour flight, walking the aisles, just like looking at girls, like being all creepy, like little kids, like petting their head.
Oh, man.
And it was just like, it got to the point where like the stewardess were like, yo, like you need to sit down. Like, and he'd be like, all right, he'd sit down. And like 2 seconds later, he's like, he's up again.
Oh, God.
And I was just like watching it from the back. And it got to a point where the dude like fucked with the same guy who started the fucking the knife thing. He was like sleeping and he was like hitting him in his foot. And then he got up. The dude was just like, drugged out of his fucking mind. But we're flying over the Atlantic Ocean. And he's just like looking him in the face. And he's like, yo, dog, like, why are you fucking touching my feet while I'm sleeping? And this dude's just like, what are you talking about?
Man.
And then the one dude, Slane, dope rapper, actor from like Gone Baby Gone, The Town.
Oh, shit, okay.
He jumps over the middle seat and just bitch slaps a dude in the middle of the flight.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, shit. And then we ended up landing and the dude got arrested.
Right.
And we didn't get in any trouble.
Of course,
but
man. Yeah, I'm sure they were happy for it. That's a tough situation because,
Yeah.
I mean, nowadays flights get turned around for kind of almost anything. People are super paranoid about it.
Yeah.
But back in the day, man, especially if you're over the ocean too, there's only so much.
There's
you
no
can
turning
do.
around. It was probably closer to just keep going.
Yeah, that's probably true. But
I forget. They might have like actually like zip tied his wrist to the fucking seat.
yeah, that's like all they can do, right? At
Yeah.
a certain point. Was that like the first like overseas touring you did?
It was
Yeah.
one of them. And like at that point, I was getting like $100 a show.
Right.
And like the rappers were such fucking dicks. They'd be like, make me collect 33.3 euros from each guy instead of just paying it. I was like,
man.
but I was like, they're like the older dudes. I'm like this young white kid. They're like, it was basically hazing.
Yeah,
one-on-one.
Well, I mean, when it's like your first big tour like that, it's
Yeah.
just exciting, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I was the same way. You would agree to anything at that point
Yeah.
just to kind of get out
Yeah.
there.
I mean, it was a great experience and it like made me tough. So like anything I go through on the road, I'm just like, I've been through worse.
Yeah.
So like
yeah.
I'll get through it,
Right. I mean, was that while you were still in college that you started getting on the road?
I was fresh because right out of college, I started working at undergroundhiphop.com.
Oh, yeah.
It was like one of the top online web places to get
Yeah,
to
I
get
mean, at the
vinyl.
time, it was like, what Beatport became
exactly
for the dance scene.
Exactly. That it was that for underground hip hop. And I was like at the epicenter of that. I was doing like special like mixes, like promo mixes, like best of Madlib, best of Ninth Wonder.
Yeah.
Just kind of like year best of like all these mixtapes. Like before I started even doing electronic music, I probably put out almost 40 mixtapes.
Yeah, I
Like
remember
I was like
those
really
days, man.
heavy on the mixtape scene, like doing mashups before there were mashups. Like the Masters was this old shit I had.
Yeah. I think I even remember that, man.
yeah.
Because that's, were you on the holler board?
Yeah,
or any of
yeah,
that?
exactly.
That's probably where we
Yeah.
first heard about each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's definitely where we first heard about each other.
Yeah, man. And, everyone was making all those mixtapes and trading them back and forth. It was a fun time, man, because it was back before you would call a DJ like open format, quote unquote.
Yeah.
At that time, we were all just DJs,
Yeah.
And it was kind of less defined of like, I play this style and you play that style. It was kind of, everybody played all different kind of music. And
I always
everyone-
hated that term open format. It's like, oh, I'm not fucking a one-dimensional piece of shit and I can play more than one genre. So you got to like make up this whack term that like doesn't sound...
Yeah, I mean, open format now just means you're like a bottle service DJ.
It just has like a negative connotation for some reason. I don't know why. but
It got
just
kind of
does.
flipped. It's weird,
Yeah.
because it didn't used to exist really. And then once I guess they just needed a term for like a good DJ who doesn't play EDM.
Yeah. But there's also bad open format DJs.
Oh,
too.
yeah.
Doesn't mean you're good. If you're
No,
open
no,
format.
no, not at all. So you were in college.
Yeah.
You started getting on the road a little bit. You were making
Yeah.
these connections in the hip hop world.
Yeah, and then I kind of just like hit a ceiling in Boston. I was like, all right, man, like I'm playing whatever these clubs are. Like I'm touring a little bit, doing hip hop shit.
Were you doing your own shows as well as backing up rappers and that kind of stuff?
I mean, a bit, because I'd be like host DJs at these hip hop shows. So I'd have like a Jayceeoh set, then
Right.
DJ for the rapper, and like host on the mic.
Yeah.
So I had more of a presence than just a background guy, but
Right.
it just still wasn't like,
Yeah,
not to
yeah,
sound
yeah.
selfish,
No,
but like, you know, you want it to be about you.
Oh,
like,
100%, man. I
you
mean,
want credit.
I came up, one of my first like big gigs that got me out on the road, I was Kid Sister's DJ for a
Right.
couple of years.
Yeah,
and it was
yeah,
the
I
same
remember that.
thing. Yeah, it was a great gig. I had a great time. I learned a lot. And I did like my own little set before
Yeah.
she would go on. So yeah, it was the same thing, but it chafes after a while.
Yeah, I mean-
it's just an ego thing for me.
Yeah.
I was just like, hey,
like
when are we gonna get to me?
The moment when I like really like was like, all right, I'm not doing that anymore is when like right after Boston, like I moved to New York City, and like through Taylor Alderdice and my boys in high school were the guys who put Wiz Khalifa on, like
Okay.
who made him who he is, Rosman Records. And I
Did
was,
you know
and I-
Wiz back in the day?
Yeah, like I was one of Wiz's first DJs. Like I was literally probably the first DJ to play Wiz on the radio because I had that position in Boston, and Wiz was
yeah.
still in high school at that point, putting out his first mixtapes, and I was giving him spins. And when I moved to New York after Boston, I was doing shows for Wiz for like CMJ and like
Oh, cool.
Jelly NYC shit. Like if
Like
you
right
search
when he was just starting to bubble.
yeah. And like if you search like Jayceeoh Wiz Khalifa on YouTube, you'll see me and him performing for like 10,000 people in Brooklyn, and he has like 4 tattoos on his back.
Damn.
Just so you know how you can tell how dated it is.
Right. That's crazy. I mean, when he started to blow up, that must have been exciting for like the whole Pittsburgh
Oh yeah,
crew,
it was
you know?
crazy. But like back to the artist DJ
Yeah.
parallels. There's like at that point, because I remember this is like right before Cushion Orange Juice came out, or maybe right after. And they wanted me to go on this like 30-day tour. I was just like super stoked on it. But they're like, yo, we can give you like $150 a show. And I was like, dude, like that's because I was already at a point where I was getting like decent bread and like traveling a little just to do like club sets.
Right.
And I was even like, I remember being like, dude, give me $300 a show.
What year was this approximately?
This is probably 2009, before Black and Yellow, before all that shit, like before Say Yeah.
Right.
You know?
Before he was playing arenas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I remember like passing on that, and then like he obviously fucking blew the fuck up,
Right.
like beyond anything. But it's dope because like my best friend DJ Bonix is like he's been his DJ since then.
Right, yeah,
and it's
yeah.
like he's really stuck with it, and it's really dope. But it's awesome to see these guys fucking like him and Mac just being so close to like that from the inception of like
Yeah.
know?
And it's just a tight knit. It's what I was saying earlier, man. It's what I like about the whole everyone I know from Pittsburgh. It's
Yeah.
like it's just that tight knit community. And
Yeah.
they'll still go home there and like hang out with the old people.
Yeah.
You don't see that from a lot of famous people. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess Pittsburgh, it's just such a unique city that people kind of, even though I didn't grow up there, I still have some sort of allegiance there. Like I rep Steelers all day.
Yeah.
So-
Well, how long were you there? Did you ever go back after college or did you?
I went back, yeah, like right, because my parents were still there for a bit after college. So I went back like the first 2 summers maybe.
Yeah.
After that, I was like, all right, I didn't move back for the summer. So I was
Right.
like visited a little bit here and there.
Yeah.
And then a few years ago, my parents moved back to Cali. So like I
Yeah.
don't have any technically family there anymore. So
Sure.
unless I have a show, I probably won't go there. But I have a lot of love for Pittsburgh, man. It's a really cool, unique city. People are one of a kind out there. For sure.
Yeah, 100%, man. So after you turned down the Wiz tour, which by the way, I wanted to make a point about that because that's one of those things that I'm sure at the time was like kind of hard to turn down. It's, when you're
Yeah.
coming up, you never want to turn down an opportunity like that.
Right.
But in the end, I think that's a smart move, you
Right.
know? Even if Wiz Khalifa goes on to be a super famous rapper, you have to look out for yourself,
Yeah.
right? And sort of have the perspective on what it's really going to do for you.
Yeah.
So, say you had gone on that tour and say he's in the process of blowing up,
Right.
even through all of that, I'm sure you would have had a lot of fun.
Right.
And I'm sure it would have been a crazy experience, but would it have helped your
Yeah,
career?
it's for
you know?
longevity, like you really got to put yourself first.
Right.
You know, it's like some people may be like, "Oh, he just thinks about himself. He's selfish." Like, yo, it's my life. I got to think about my shit
100%.
first.
Yeah.
Like
And-
we all want to look out for our friends and do this and that, but at the end of the day, like you got to make sure that you have a roof over your head and are feeding yourself.
Right.
You know?
Well, and I think you had a smart perspective about it even back then to kind of look at it and not just jump at the first opportunity that comes your way, because I think if you're really picky about it and if you have that vision from the start, I think that's what helps a lot.
Yeah, because I was already at a point where I was like, I want to take myself and make myself, because I had already for years been behind the backing DJ for so many rappers and toured all over and had all these great experiences, but it was just like, all right, like I need for me to make a living off this for real. Like, I gotta fucking
It's all in service of somebody else's project, and that's short-term money only.
Yeah,
because that people could decide they don't want a DJ anymore.
So at that point, I was after I turned that down, it's like I'm new to New York City. Been there like about a year and a half, 2 years. I was just grinding, playing different clubs. But that's also when that's when I started the Super 7 mixtape series was out. I feel like it was that year.
Okay. What was the thought process there? Were you thinking about a brand even back then?
Nah, the whole idea, because I was so heavy in the mixtape game. Like at that point, like I was turning out mixtape after mixtape and had all these other dope DJ homies who were doing mixtapes and be like, yo, let's collab on a mixtape. Before dudes were collabing on songs, it was like collab on a mix, right?
Yeah, that's absolutely. But it was just I don't think people know about that.
Yeah,
man.
And it was just like everyone would say let's do this and that, but everyone has different schedules, and it's like to put together the way we did mixes was like really kind of intricate multi-track mashup kind of situations, and to do a whole mix of at that point you're making CDs. Like it's got to be 60, 70 minutes,
Right.
I had all these people who wanted to collab. I was like, how can I do a project where I collab with as many people as possible and fit it on one CD? So I was like, CD's about 80 minutes, get 7 dudes, 10 minutes a guy, like give or take a couple minutes, and it'll all fit on a CD. And then I started the first one, and it just kind of blew the fuck up. The whole like kind of DJ culture based around that, just like all these DJs who I looked up to before them reached out to me like, yo, I want to get on that next one.
Right.
And I was like, oh shit, I got something here. And then, this is like, because I just released Volume 8. So I probably started that 9 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's just like I did it once a year, and it grew to a point where I had like, Jazzy Jeff, Z-Trip, like all these guys who were like, that I looked up to when I started DJing. And then I kind of took a hiatus. And then once I started doing more production and like that was my focus, like I shifted gears from it being like the super DJ technical centric mix to like the producer kind of edition. And like the first one I did like that, I had like, Nightmare before he was fucking huge.
Yeah. You've always been good about like, getting people early on those.
And it's just like, it's really grown. Now I'm like 3 volumes deep on the producer side of things. It basically like each volume, it's like kind of shows like where I'm at and what in my career and where I'm feeling and like who I'm associated
it's like a little time
with.
Capsule, right?
It really is, because it's like, who do I think is killing it within the circle of where I'm trying to be at that moment of time,
What did the first ones sound like, those first couple volumes?
I mean, they're fucking amazing, dude. Like, I go back and listen to them sometimes, I'm like, wow, like, this shit is really intricate. Just, like, dope blends, a lot of scratching.
Yeah.
But not, like, over the top. I mean,
Was it all hip-hop?
No. It was like funk, soul, like vaguely electronic shit. Like, because I was already starting to mess with electronic stuff.
Because I was going to say, around that time is when a lot of DJs from like the hip-hop side were kind of making that transition.
Yeah. Well, the real transition for me was me and my homie PQ started this. We had a party in New York, but also we did a 2-volume mixtape series called Goody Goody.
Okay.
And he was like a Miami-based DJ, like record collector, really up on like dope, tasteful house shit. We basically did this experiment where he brought me all these records, and my job was to fucking dissect them all, like make edits, do blends and mashups with the whole shit. And I put together these incredible mixes that, like, if you listen back now, you'd be like, wow, like these are some joints.
Yeah.
And like that's when I like started messing with house and like Baltimore Club and like that type of stuff, and just like higher tempos, and just I really like the creativity and energy that electronic had, because hip hop was just getting boring.
Yeah. And I think like Baltimore club, I think, was the entry point for a lot of people to sort of make that move into like dip your toe into the water because it still had that raw energy of hip hop.
But it had the tempo of house.
Right. Yeah, it was kind of that amazing crossover time. I kind of miss those days, man. Back in like 07, 08, 09. It's what we were talking about earlier. It was before everything had a label on it.
Yeah.
And you could just, like you said, you could play funk and soul into hip hop, into Baltimore club, into electro.
Yeah. I was playing James Brown records in the club and shit.
Right.
Into like some T-Pain shit, into like 50 Cent. Into like I Love Rock and Roll, into fucking
into like DJ Sega and all that kind of man. It was a special time. Like Mad Decent was just starting to come up. I don't know. I'm just getting nostalgic now.
Yeah, I know. But it's still happening now. But it's like funny like to hear the new generation of DJs like their version of like bringing it back. Or like flipping something.
Or what
like,
people call old school.
It's just like, ooh. A lot of times when I think like that, I'm like, there really is a whole new generation.
Yeah.
So it's like you can't be mad at them for not knowing shit that's like
beyond
not
their
age.
All.
The sad thing about it is like kids now, like when I started DJing and doing music, I was like, I want to know the roots of like everything. You know, like because like I came up in hip hop and it was sample based, so I wanted to know what the sample came from. Like, what is that original sound like? But it's kind of different now because now all these samples are just electronic within the box, so it's like you don't need to go back and research where it came from because it's from
now
it
kind of because it kind of flipped where now people don't want to sample because they're thinking about it. Kids are conditioned to think on a professional level from a really early age now. So you're taught that if you sample something, you won't be able to clear it. It won't be able to come
true.
out.
It's a nightmare.
And so, kids are taught to kind of stay away from samples. Whereas before it was about finding more samples,
right? But I think that it's also hurting new kids because they're not hearing all these classic records that are just like different songs that were composed in different ways with different type of sounds and energies and vibes that like I think about when I make music, but like they've never like if they haven't heard like a saxophone rip it like that or like an old Fela Kuti record, like they won't know that vibe to be something that they might want to implement in a song they're working on.
Yeah, 100%. And it's weird. We don't have to get too deep into like the philosophy of it, but I think the streaming services are kind of making it harder to learn the history of it too, because it's so singles based and it's so playlist based that unless you specifically search it out.
But at the same time, like if you do search it out and you're like where we'd have to dig song by song, if you're just like, I want to learn funk and soul records from the 80s, you just find a playlist and then it just rocks.
Yeah, you're right. That's a good point.
So it makes it easier, but you have to want to find it.
Yeah, you got to have that desire.
You're not going to stumble on it.
So, I mean, coming out of that, starting the Super 7 series and getting a little more respect on your name, more or less.
That's what got me kind of touring.
Yeah.
Like I started like playing in Canada, over Europe, and at this point I had no manager. I was like literally just networking with DJs, and like DJs would be like, yo, like dudes in like some foreign country be like, yo, what's up, man? I'm trying to get on that new mixtape. I'm like, yo, I don't know about that, but what's up? Let me come through your spot and rock. And it's just like kind of networking and building things. But through that, like I literally toured 20 countries on my own.
Yeah.
Like with zero manager, just networking with DJs, figuring it out just based on the presence of the Super 7 mix.
Right,
within
the strength of the brand, you know?
Yeah, within the DJ community.
And were you known as a turntablist at that point? Because I feel like a lot of people who come up with that background, you know, they go through like a competition something.
Yeah, well, I came up battling, you know,
right,
while I was doing mixtapes. So I was doing like DMCs and like all these other little battles. So that was definitely part of it. Yeah. And then like, I mean, the biggest battle was the VH1 TV show that I won.
Yeah, we definitely got to talk about that. What year was that?
That was 2013.
Okay.
VH1 Master of the Mix. It was a 10 show on VH1 national television, like elimination TV show, like Chopped. And
how did you get involved with it? Like, how did you even hear that it was happening?
Well, they had 2 episodes on two seasons. It was on BET at first, and of course, like as a DJ, you're like, oh, it's a DJ show. Let me check this out. But it was on BET. It was kind of like lightweight, corny, and like the prize money wasn't that great. And the people on the show were like kind of sus a little bit. A couple good people. I was like, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
And then I saw that VH1 bought it out, and they fucking raised the prize money to $250,000. I was like, son, I might have to go try and get that shit.
Yeah.
So they literally had like fucking cattle call auditions like all over the country, and I went to the LA one and just like auditioned like everyone else.
Yeah.
Went through the whole process, and then like, you know, it was pretty crazy. You know?
Yeah, well, you know, I have a couple friends who have been on reality TV shows before, and hearing them talk about it just sounds like the most bizarre experience.
Right.
How, you know, for you, obviously there was a skill element involved.
Yeah.
Was any part of it also like scripted or acting?
No,
Were they trying to set up any weird situations?
They really didn't go that route. It was more like a chopped thing than like a fucking like real world.
You're right.
You know, like, cause like I thought they were gonna like have us all in like one house and like film us like when we're not doing the challenges, but they kept it very challenge based. We like got to go to our own hotel rooms and like just kind of focus on the task at hand. Because we're on set like all day, and then we'd have a little time to go back to the room.
And so they just give you a challenge for that week's episode?
Yeah, but it was like every day was an episode.
Oh, okay.
It was literally 2 weeks of shooting.
Every day.
Yeah, every day was an elimination. And it's like from the first episode, you'll get the challenge the night before at 2 a.m., and what are you gonna go home and go to sleep? Or are you gonna fucking prepare for this challenge? So I would get back to the hotel, I would stay up late as hell preparing, working on things, and then you'd go to set and they'd be filming you, and then you'd only have like an hour, maybe 2 hours of practice time where you'd have time at the decks to kind of like go through, you know, whatever routine. Like each challenge was like based on different things every time.
Was the competition pretty stiff, or was it?
Well, it started out pretty easy because I came from like, I was already pretty fucking talented at this point. And like it started with 20 people, and it's like half were like there for like just so they could get embarrassed almost.
Yeah, just
and
to be
half
on
were
TV.
like real DJs, you know. So it was like the first episode was like there was 20 people. But they cut 8 people the first day, so everyone thought shit was sweet. And they're like, we're cutting 8 people. They're like, oh shit. And then you could just see the fakes crumbling. The first episode, I fucking slayed it. Like to the point where like Kid Capri was a judge. This actually never aired. This is a pretty funny story. Like the first episode was just like, do you flex your skill? Like I did this whole, because I knew Kid Capri was a judge and he loves like James Brown. So I did this like crazy James Brown beat juggle thing into like some other scratch thing. And after my set, like Kid Capri, like, you know, we're on a stage, there's stairs, a whole dance floor, and then like The Voice, American Idol, like judges table across the room. Like Kid Capri was like, oh my God, wows out and runs to give me dap like on stage. I'm like, wow, this is sick.
That's a good sign.
But he walks up the stairs. There's like 3 stairs, like a little platform, and then like a 2-foot gap where there's like lighting.
Oh no.
He didn't see. So Kid Capri like sticks his hand out to give me high five and literally falls in this fucking gap. The whole studio just falls out, starts cracking up. I was like, dude, you got to put that on TV. And they're like, nah. I need that outtake, dude. Like,
yeah,
fuck.
they got to send that to you, man. And so, you know, long story short, you end up winning the whole thing, right?
Yeah. Towards the end, the competition got much more stiff.
Yeah.
Like once it got down to like the final 5, I was like, all right. Like fucking shit is real now.
Yeah.
It's like, because it's like either you win $250,000 or you win fucking nothing.
I mean, I remember watching a couple of the episodes, but it's fuzzy to me now. I mean, this was kind of not a corny competition by the end, right? Like,
it was real.
Guys.
Like I had to beat a DMC world champion in the finals, you know?
Yeah.
But it came down to like, the thing with me is like I've always been technical, but I've always been very like flavorful.
It's what we were talking about earlier, right?
You know, flexing skill without overkill. We're like, you know, in the finale, some dude will just, you know, overdo some technical thing.
Yeah.
Where if you just did it once and then moved on, it would be way more effective than like, watch me do this thing 10 times.
It's like
in
watching
a row.
someone do a math problem after a while.
It's like, you know, guys like A-Rap Music, he's fucking incredible. You see him live, but after 10 minutes, it's like, all right.
Yeah,
like,
I get the
hectic.
idea.
All right, hi-hats. All right. You know, so, but it was just like, yeah. Like when it came down to the finale, like, because I had the skill set, stage presence. But the dope thing about the finale was, it was like, all right, this is like create your dream show, right?
Right.
Including production, stage production.
Oh, okay.
And before that, like I had been around, I'd been touring a little bit. I've been around like bigger shows and like seen big shit. And these other guys were just kind of like turntablists, kind of like club DJs who haven't been around like real stage production. So like, give us a wish list of what you want. And like, they were just like, oh, you guys have been killing it all season. Like, just do what you've been doing.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, I need these J-Rags, I need CO2. Like, I had all these like
That's
ideas,
smart.
and like, cause Smirnoff was the sponsor, they're paying for the whole shit.
Right.
I was like, I want 8 girls with Smirnoff bottles with sparklers, cause what you were winning was a contract to be Smirnoff's official DJ for a year.
Right.
It's like, let's fucking sell some liquor here, while I kill this shit.
Yeah, I'm sure they love
So I was
that.
like, I thought about it all from a music standpoint to a stage production to like
Yeah.
a branding thing, and like I just like destroyed them in the finale.
Right.
And it was just like,
well, and that's, I mean, you were ahead of your time for that kind of scene because now you look at all the successful DJs doing
Yeah.
it. The production is such a crucial component of
yeah,
what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people lean on that more than their music.
Yeah. So, I mean, so you win the whole thing, which must have been a crazy moment.
Yeah.
Did it end up being kind of a life-changing thing? I mean, obviously that's a lot of money.
Yeah,
but
it really did, because winning that money is really what catapulted me to have the ability to
just the resources.
the resources, and just because basically at that point I was like, all right, I've like right after the show I was like touring like Vegas residencies, like touring all over the US,
Yeah.
getting good money to play like the top bottle service gigs. But there's a ceiling on that. I was like, that's when like festivals were starting to become a thing. I was like, dude, I want to play a festival.
Yeah.
But they're like, yo, the only way you're playing a festival is if you're like making your own music and like you're an artist.
Yeah.
So like I'd been producing since high school. Like I had an MPC in 9th grade.
Okay.
But it was I always put DJing first because it was instant gratification.
Right.
You do a show that night, you get paid. Where producing is a much longer game.
Oh, 100%.
But like now that I had won the show and I had this money, and like I could afford that, where I didn't have to take every shitty club gig to pay my
Yeah.
rent, where I was turning down gigs and like focusing on production, and while at the same time like rebranding Jayceeoh as just not the hip hop turntablist club DJ. To
How
being
did
an
you
artist
approach
producer.
that? Yeah, because I mean,
It was really hard.
I was going to say, making that pivot, some people do it better than others, man.
It honestly took a couple years to really get like, I'm sure people behind my back, whatever, just like, oh, Jayceeoh, he just wants some of his EDM shit.
Right,
Like,
right.
It took me putting out like fucking 30 tracks to be like, all right, this guy is fucking for real. I just was like literally putting out joints like weekly.
I remember,
For a
yeah.
while. I remember, I think I put out a joint a week for like, I forget how long,
Yeah.
but like one year I put out like a ridiculous amount of music. I'm just like, you're going to respect me at one point, motherfucker. And then it just, it got to a point where, other artists and people were like respecting me and like pointing me out for like music that I made instead of just like my skill set.
Right.
So, but that was probably the biggest hurdle,
Well, and
for
that
me.
must have been, all of your work to get to that point must have, I think, helped accelerate that transition because once you get to the point where you're getting booked off of your music,
Right.
and then you show up to play a show and you're actually better than most of the other DJs, I think probably some of the people who knew you from the music, that's just a pleasant surprise for them, right?
But also, like, the weird thing is I almost feel like it's hurt me.
Really? In what
Because
way?
'cause think about it, like when I'm coming up, even now, right? Whatever level I'm at, I have some success, but there's obviously guys who are more bigger than me. I come in and whatever slot I'm at, like my skill set and how I'm gonna DJ is 9 times out of 10 is gonna be better than who's after me. Like even if like I'm not burning them musically, I'm not playing their songs. I'm not playing the most current shit. Just the delivery of how I know how to DJ and my stage presence, because of all that stuff. It's like some people get intimidated by it.
Sure.
So I feel like the fact that I have that is like, because some people, I'm sure, like,
Oh, so you're saying some people like wouldn't want to put you on a show or do a tour
they'll
with
like
you?
be like, yo, you want Jayceeoh to open up for you? Like, hell no, that dude's gonna fucking embarrass me, But it's like, it's weird though, because I've been on all sides of the coin, so I know how to tone it down when I need to.
100%, man. If you come from playing funk and soul records,
Right.
I think all of us who come from the older school of DJing, you know how to play at 10 p.m., you know how to play at midnight, there's different sets you do.
But it's like having that presence and being known for that, like I feel like intimidates some other people. So I feel like some opportunities that I should have earned based on my production, I haven't got because of what we were just talking about.
Sure.
Like I've had an instance where I'm not going to name the DJ, but
Yeah.
like I was opening up for someone and I was like all my playlists, I was like nothing current, all like older throwback dope fucking hype shit to
Right.
hype up the crowd. And I remember playing and like I had my monitors banging. So like I was like super into it. Then after I checked my Twitter and there's all these tweets like, yo, turn it up. what the fuck? But like, come to find out that like said DJ sabotaged my shit and fucking had to turn down the house to like astronomically low levels.
Yeah.
And it was just like such a bummer, you know? So like,
it's crazy, man. I know other DJs who've done that. I've been on tours where I've been the opener, and you know, there's a set limit for the volume before the headliner goes on. And to a certain extent,
I get that.
I get it.
But sometimes it's like,
there's
come on,
a limit.
bro.
Yeah, like there's doing it strategically where it just increases the excitement of the show.
Yeah.
And then there's doing it just so that nobody else looks good except you.
Yeah, it's fucked up.
It's a weird thing. I don't know. Because for me, I think in my head, if I was, you know, a giant headliner and I was playing these shows where I had 5 guys opening up for me every night, to me, it's, you know, you'd want to look out for those guys to a certain extent. They're not just there to fill time, you know?
I mean, the bottom line is a lot of us, I mean, everyone, we're all guilty of our own insecurities.
Sure.
And it's like, oh, if this is my show, I got to look the best no matter what. Like, I can't have someone outshine me at my own shit. You know, which is kind of makes sense. But that's why people pick certain openers for certain reasons. You know?
And I think if you're confident enough in what you do, I mean, if you're
worry.
If you're already the headliner and people are already paying to come see you.
It's like, let a motherfucker live. You know?
As long as you're not just a piece of trash up there, people will be pretty stoked. You know? I don't know. But you're right. It is an ego thing. It's an insecurity thing. And as openers, too, if you're in the opening position, that's another thing that I've definitely been told that I wouldn't get a show because somebody thought I went too hard, or I was like, there have been those situations and I lost out on shows because of that. But at the same time, you know, if I had toned it down and just kind of played a bland set, it's like
why am I there?
Right.
You know?
It's when you turn down the Wiz Khalifa thing, it's the same thing where it's like, if I had said yes to that, it wouldn't have done anything for me.
Like, I've, on the opposite side of the coin, like, it kind of sucks, but like, I've done a few things with Bass Nectar.
Yeah.
Every time we talk about us doing a show, he's like, dude, I can't have you open for me. Because I mean, it's not about me burning him, but just like his energy compared to mine. He's like, I don't want you to play a show where you can't do the fucking best that you could do.
Well, see, I respect that.
Yeah. Because he was like upfront about it. He's like, this is the reason why, instead of just like,
I totally
diving around
that.
it. He's like, I need these guys with this vibe to build it up to where my vibe is.
Right.
Which is what it should be.
100%. And, you know, you presented in that. I have no problem with that. That makes total sense.
Yeah.
And another part of it is, too, I think you as a producer collab with a lot of people, you like smaller people. Like I see you putting people on, which I always kind of liked.
Right.
And is that for you? Are you always kind of looking to, between the mixes and the collabs, it seems like you're always looking to find the new, you know, hot producer.
Right.
Like,
well, I
supporting
did.
the youth.
Well, I did launch my based off the mixtape series and brand that I've established over the years. I just launched my label, Super 7 Records. I started it just to put out my own music when like other labels are given whatever flack or their schedules suck. I'm like, all right, fuck it, I'm putting it out myself. But this year, I started focusing on putting out new artists, and it's been going great. Put out some great records. But in terms of collaboration, it's like, because I remember coming up and like other people being like, oh, I can't do this with this guy because he's got this many followers. Like, I hate that mentality.
Yeah.
And like for me, like I love collaborating. It's my favorite way to make music. You know, so when a young, super energetic producer who's super talented but just doesn't have a look comes to me with an idea that I instantly like have an idea for, I'm like, fuck it, let's do it. You know?
Yeah.
And it's just fun. I just have
keeps
fun.
It fresh,
yeah,
right?
I'm just like, dude, send me the project, and it's just more fun that way.
Well, now you're to the point where you've kind of brought it all back home with your 1000 Volts project, right? Which is a collaboration with you and Redman.
Yeah, me and Redman.
And to me, man, that's, you know, when you did that, to take him into that realm. Well, talk about how you even met him in the first place.
So, yeah, me and Redman, legendary Redman, we formed a group called 1000 Volts, where it's electronic and hip-hop crossover. We first started with, I had this record, Turn Me Up Some, where I just sampled Redman. And I was about to put it out like SoundCloud, like whatever for free, like everyone, like every fucking record. And then I got booked for this festival in Croatia, and Redman and Method Man were some of the headliners. I was like, you know what? Let me just hold on and see if I could just like meet him. And like, I had zero expectations for anything.
Had you met him before?
No.
Okay.
So we all end up staying at the same hotel. We're like in Croatia, this like sick ass beach. They had like an artist only kind of pool party. It was like super chill, like all artists, and Red was just chilling there. I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna just roll up on him. I was like, hey man, Nice to meet you. All like mad nervous and shit. I was like, I sampled you on the song. Can I play it for you? And he's just like, yeah, fuck it. And I just like played it for him off my iPhone in the middle of this party, and he's just rocking to it, head bobbing. And he's like, oh shit. He's like, that shit's dope. I'm like, what's up? You want to get on this and fucking like redo these vocals and make it official? He's like, hell yeah. He just gave me his number right then.
Wow.
And it was just like, wow, I was blown away. But then I get back and it's like 2 months. I'm texting him nothing. I email him the shit. I'm just like, fuck, dude.
Yeah.
I was literally about to drop it. And I was like, you know what? He's probably too high and too lazy to check the email attachment. I'm going to record a voice note of the track and just text it to him. I do that. 2 minutes later, he's like, all right, yeah, hell yeah. He's like, I'm going to record it tonight. And just knocked it out. It went off. I launched my label off that. I invested about 10 grand of my own money. I did like street teams, like posters at like, from Lollapalooza to like all over LA.
Wow.
To like a mini radio campaign, and like really put a lot behind it. And then Red was like really impressed with like from a business angle to a artist angle, how I kind of brought it all together. He's like, yo, send me some more beats. I sent him a bunch of beats. He called me back. I was thinking he's going to be like, yo, you know I need some more money off that first shit. He was like, yo, dog, these beats are crazy. He's like, I'm about to write to all these beats. And I was like blown away, but still I didn't believe him.
Did you ever talk to him? Like, was he aware of EDM or dance music?
Vaguely.
Yeah.
You know, vaguely, but not too heavily, you know?
Yeah.
And then he started writing to all these records throughout the course of a year, and they were kind of all over the place. Nothing really like hit the nail on the head. Then we hit a groove with a couple of joints. We're like, yo, this is the vibe. And then like he ended up coming out to LA, and we had a couple sessions, and we're like, yo, like we could turn this into a fucking group and like do a whole album and like tour the shit and like really kill it, you know?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, fuck it, let's do it. And then we went back and forth, like got the name. We've just been working on the project for about 2 years now.
Wow.
And it's like we've just been working on, we got like 8 records, like a lot of different collaborations and things we need to get mixed and mastered and finished up. But it's like he's a perfectionist. Like we've already had offers to like go play and like do this and that. But Red is such a perfectionist. He's like, when we do it, it's got to be right. So like our plan is like we want to finish the album, do like a fully marketed run once it comes out. Like we don't want to rush it.
Yeah.
Because we're going to really develop like the 1,000 volts experience. It's not just going to be me DJing and Red rapping. Like we're going to build out a stage. Like there's going to be different like aspects of the show, fucking, you know, interactive shit with the crowd, fucking
like that,
movie
man.
clips, like wild shit.
I like
so
that,
we're
man.
like brainstorming on the whole shit, and Red is such a personality. It's going to take time for it to be perfect, but when it's perfect, it's going to really blow people away.
I'll be excited to see that, man, because I'm glad you're taking your time with it, honestly, because I don't think anyone has been able yet. You know, you'll see a DJ who has a hype man, maybe, or you'll see a rapper like Waka Flocka like do a show and he'll play a couple of EDM songs, but no one's really like been able to marry those two scenes. You know?
And I think like I think I could be very well the guy to do it, just because like my hip hop roots are so authentic, and beyond that, like I've been in this electronic shit for a long time. Yeah. So it's like when I mesh them together, it's not forced. Like I know how to do it in a natural way, which is like what a lot of people lack in. Like you hear a lot of people try and put hip hop dudes on their records, and it's just like something's just not right. Yeah. You know, so I just feel like I have the ear to like make sure it's right and authentic. So Redman fans aren't like, this shit's corny as fuck. And like electronic fans aren't like, what is this weird shit, you know? So it's like, it's tough, but it's like really special to be able to meld those worlds together.
100%, dude. Yeah. I like the confidence. Like I've always liked that about you is, you know, you put in the work, you know how good you are. Where are you at with electronic music in this day and age? Like I remember the last time I saw you played a show. And, you know, you go hard. Like, your shows are crazy. Right. And afterwards, we were back at the hotel. We were listening to a bunch of funk and soul. And you were talking about how you kind of missed those days and those mixtapes. Yeah. You know, for you now, like, do you feel like when you go play a show, you have to play a certain style, you have to go super hard? Because I feel that way sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely do. You know, you got to know your audience, right? Yeah. So if you're playing a festival and everyone else is fucking melting faces, you probably got to melt some faces. But you got to do it in your own way, you know? Yeah. Like, but what I've been doing, because like...
Do you get bummed out, though, sometimes having to do that and not being able to kind of just do what you want to do?
I mean, I always do it in my own way. Yeah. That's the bottom line, is like, whatever you do, you got to do it in your own way. But really, like, within the last year, I feel like a lot of people have noticed that a lot of people's sets sound fucking identical. Yeah. So within the last year, I've been really like focusing on like, dude, play more of your own records. Like you make these songs. You don't have to play fucking Prison Riot. Like play your own fucking
That's
shit.
the way,
type.
man. That's the way.
You know, it's like, so I've noticed like when I used to just play a few records in my set, now I have 20 records of my own in a hour set, which makes it naturally more unique.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, and then that mixed with like how I DJ just makes my show different.
Yeah, yeah. I think, so many people, and I have this conversation on the show all the time of, what's next? What's the next sound? What's the next wave going to be?
Right.
And the more I talk to people, man, I think it really is just playing your own music.
Yeah.
It's back to kind of be you as an artist.
Yeah.
You know?
It's at a point now where like everyone's just a DJ.
Right.
Like even though people are producing records, like you hear the set, it's just like, I'll go to like a regular club where like just local DJs who don't produce are just like doing their EDM version and like, oh, sounds like fucking half the fucking artists in the trap world.
Yeah,
you know?
if you closed your eyes, like you could be
Yeah.
listening to, some no-name dude, or you could be listening to the biggest guy. Sometimes
Right.
it's the same.
Yeah.
It's a weird time, man, but what should people look out for you in 2018, man? What's coming up?
I mean, a lot of stuff is coming up. I mean, the 1,000 Volts album should be out. We should start touring next year, early next year, ideally. We just put out the record with Datsik, full video. The next single, we did a record with Zed's Dead. That should be the next single.
Oh, cool.
We're starting one with Dirty Audio for the project. So 1,000 Volts, Jayceeoh, Redman is going to be, hopefully next year is going to be the real breakout year. We've just been kind of like slow rolling singles, trying to create awareness for it.
Yeah.
And then I have like a bunch of solo kind of EPs and singles kind of seated all around the spectrum.
You're prolific with that, man. I mean,
Thanks.
you were talking about putting out a song a week years ago, but
Yeah.
I feel like you're still
I
making all these songs.
I still have it, Like, I mean, it's wide ranging. Like, I have a record with Morgan Page on Armada that's like super mainstreamy that you would ever think of me. And then like, 1,000 Volts shit and the shit with Zed's Dead and like my label stuff and Super 7 mixtape series is going nuts. So I'm starting to do those more frequently and partner with Insomniac on it. So it's like,
that's
really
right.
dope.
Yeah. And you put out some records with Insomniac too.
Yeah,
right?
a couple. Yeah. Basically, the onslaught continues, bro. Like until I like hit a certain level, I say that, but like once you hit a level, you're trying
still
to keep
gonna
going.
be hungry, yeah.
But I think I'm like close to a certain point, but I'm fucking relentless. So it's like I refuse to quit no matter what. However long it takes me, it's like I know I fucking earned it whenever I get to what I get.
Well, and I think if there's a lesson people could take away from listening to this conversation, it's that. I think that's really inspiring. It's just that you never stop, you never quit. And it's not so much about you peaked at a certain level and then you had a valley and then you came back. It's just you never really let yourself calm down.
Yeah. And it's like, I'm a guy who's never had like the major label cosigns. Like I put out records on like damn near every label, but like I haven't been like the trademark guy where like, Diplo just rises you to this level and you're there. So it's like every little bit, like I fucking work for it.
Well, I mean,
it's
does
like,
that drive you? Do you? Because I feel like that, or you would like that, or you think you deserve that.
Anyone would like that and deserve it, but that's also what like, because like I came up as a battle DJ and it's just like, oh yeah, these dudes are doing this, like I gotta do this to do that.
Right.
It's just like so I grew up with two brothers, like everything is a competition. Like I feed off that type of thing. But even though music isn't a competition in terms of creating it, the business of it, there's obviously some parallels that we all fall victim to.
Yeah.
It sucks like comparing yourself to this guy or that guy, but it's natural,
Yeah.
But I'm an optimistic guy and I just keep fucking pushing, man.
Absolutely, man. Well, I'm glad you're here doing it, man. I think you're just as a DJ and as someone who's known you for a long time, I'm glad you're in this scene because it just shifts everything. It brings something that wasn't really there before.
Right.
So I'm happy you're doing it, man.
Thanks,
I'm psyched
man.
to see what you're gonna do. All right, I guess that's it, man.
I
I'm
gotta
gonna
go.
get you to this
I
boat.
gotta go hit this boat. It's boat party time. Let's
Boat
go.
party. Let's go. All right, peace, man.
Peace.
All right, that's the show. Shout out to Jayceeoh for sitting down, having that conversation with me. Love you, man. Really excited to see what 2018 brings for him. Don't forget to watch out for his new group, 1,000 Volts with Redman. Don't forget to watch out for the Super 7 Mix series coming soon. Super 7 label, dropping heat kind of all the time. This dude doesn't stop. And grab that new Jayceeoh single, Everywhere I Go, out now on Spinnin' Records. All the links in the description of this show. My name is Willy Joy. You can hit me up on all social media at Willy Joy or at backtobackpod. You can email me at backtobackpod@gmail.com. Let's talk. Let me know what your goals are for 2018. Let me know what you're trying to do. Let me know how I can help. We're starting a new chapter here in 2018. I'm glad to have you guys with me. This shit's going to be fun. It's going to be a good year. I love you guys. I'll talk to you in a week. Peace.